Hello! In this video, I'm going to continue rescuing books that I had forgotten, that I neglected in a way, books that I used to enjoy very much many years ago when I was not in the rat race of working and raising a family. So this time, we're going to talk about cookbooks. And I love that. I am a collector of cookbooks and cooking magazines. Always love them. And before we get into that, I'm going to recommend to you a website called Benjamin Laird. That's L-A-I-R. I leave the description and the name of the YouTube channel. He's a young man who has several videos about books. And coincidentally enough, as I was doing this video for you, I ran into his channel, and he has a video about reading children's books again, and how interesting for him it was to discover, reading the same books that he was reading when he was very, very much a child. As an adult, it's a totally different experience in how you look at them and you analyze them. He did a very lovely video. He's very pleasant to listen to. And children's books is something that I have not included in this series of videos about books that I'm making for you. So I was very interested, and it was lovely to hear him. So I recommend that. And he has many other videos about books of other sorts, of other genres, and so you can probably look into that, and you might find it interesting as well. But I loved it, and that's why I'm putting it in this video. So today we're going to talk about the joy of cooking. And for me, the joy of cooking is back properly, because now that I'm semi-retired and I have extra time, I'm using the occasional afternoon every week, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, to sit down and browse through the books that I have not looked at for a long time. And it's lovely to look at cookbooks, because it brings again memories of places, of people, or of events from all over the world, all the countries that I have visited. It is very interesting to see that, for me, in my case, I have always had the curiosity and the interest to cook certain things that are rather unusual. We tend to buy them at the shops, patisseries and things like that, and never had the chance to really make a lot of things that I wanted to make. So I thought this time I'm going to really get into it. And it is going to be an experience that I will probably treasure, because now that I'm more relaxed, I have the time, I have the freedom, the responsibilities are all there, in place. I will be cooking for pleasure and not for obligation, and that is fantastic. So I'm going to start by telling you very quickly that I have never been a great cook, never. But I love to give a try to everything that I really like, recipes that I have inherited, recipes that I read about occasionally and they seem interesting. There's a whole world of recipes and cooking lessons and workshops in Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok maybe. But for me, there's nothing like having the book in my hands, looking through the pages, enjoying the photographs, the steps to follow, and reading on my own and taking notes at leisure, without having to scroll on a screen or to pause or to press here and there and then get lost, because technology for me is very useful for very few things, at least in my life, I have to say. But for looking at books and recipes and whatever other subjects, I rather read them myself in paper. I love that. And I grew up with a Spanish mother who was a very good cook. She used to cook very occasionally the recipes that she really was good at making. And that was not very common because we had a housekeeper at home, and she was a very good cook as well. As I remember, everything that was on the table at all times at home, I used to like a lot. But curiously enough, now at my age, in my mid-70s, looking back at my cookbooks and trying to remember things, I am really surprised that I was very curious to get into the kitchen and look at my mother cooking and our housekeeper cooking, but I was never invited to be part of the cooking experience. I was never taught how to do this, how to do that, how to mix this with that, why we use eggs for this dish, why do you need to let the milk go at room temperature, what are measuring cups, measuring spoons. Nothing of the sort. So at 22, when I got married and went with my new husband to live overseas, I was very far away from family and friends, and I literally had to teach myself how to cook. I realized that all I could do was probably fried eggs one day and scrambled eggs the next, and that's just about it. And probably, I don't know, bread and butter and ham and cheese, but nothing elaborate. And I found myself wondering, what am I going to do? And very bravely enough, I remember pasta dishes at home when I was a child were my favorite. And I invited very bravely 2 other couples our age, we were all very young at the time, between 20 and 30, to an Italian dinner. Okay? Me inviting to a specialized dinner? Well. So I grabbed the pan, put 2 inches of water, some salt, and very nicely let the log of spaghetti rest at the bottom of the pan, put the lid on, went into the living room to share, a glass of wine with my friends. And after 20 minutes, I said to one of them, I better go inside and see what's happening, because the pasta's been cooking already. So she came with me. We lifted the lid. She looked inside, and there was no water left. And this beautiful solid log of pasta was sitting at the bottom of the pan. And I said to her very naively, New Zealand pasta is so different from pasta at home in Venezuela, where I come from. I don't know how to cook this pasta. And she just put the lid back on, turned off the stove, grabbed me by the arm, and she said, come with me. We went into the living room, and she said to everybody, guys, get up and get ready. We're going out to eat. So that was fantastic. I felt that I had done something horrific. I didn't even want to talk about it. We had a lovely dinner, of course. We went over, to another restaurant. To a restaurant. And that was really a shock for me. I realized that I better do something about this. Fortunately for me, my friends, my young friends there, the 2 of them were very good cooks, of course. And they slowly started me into learning the basics of many things. And I became a fanatic, an addict of cookbooks and cooking magazines. And we didn't have internet in those days, of course. And we just had to learn by reading and writing and sharing with friends who would show us live cooking, but nothing else. And I became very addicted to cooking. And I have to say, I'm not a great cook, but I can cook. And if I really set my mind to it, I will cook something very special and nice occasionally. At least my children think so. So that is a plus for me. Since I have decided to share some of my books with you, I am going to start with this one. Now, this is not a cookbook as such. It is my personal cookbook. I've had it for years and years and years, and it's the book that collects all the recipes that I have tasted at my friends' houses, with my relatives, at the odd restaurant when they want to share a recipe. Many recipes coming from magazines that I have seen, other books at the library, and I have tested and tasted, and they were so good that they deserve a place in my personal book. So I keep it back there on the atro, usually open on a page with the intention to cook that recipe this week, that week, next week. But every week I try to make a recipe from this book because I don't want to forget them. They are all delicious, simple, and we all like them. So it is there on my kitchen counter, ready to be used all the time. So if you have a special recipe that you would like to share with me, please do. I would welcome it and probably give it a place of honor in that book. Now, another book that I have here is this one, Macarons, or Macaroons with a double O if we see it in English. This book was given to me by my son about 15 years ago. It was my birthday and we decided to celebrate my birthday in France. Went to Paris for about 10 days before heading to Italy, another experience. And we visited, of course, many patisseries, coffee houses, small restaurants, and everything was so delicious. The patisserie shops, pastry shops in Paris are decorated like if they were mini museums. Beautiful paintings, beautiful frescoes, the counters, the tables decorated in country style, very exquisite. And of course the display of sweets and pastries, they make cakes, was absolutely breathtaking. Macaroons, of course, became one of our favorites because they have them in so many flavors, decorated in so many ways. It was just delightful. So I always said to my son, when we get back home in Perth, I have to learn to make macaroons. And that's why he gave me this book, which I love. I have to say, I didn't attempt to do any macaroons. I haven't yet, because they're not very easy to make. Apparently, they're very elaborate. Having said that, on Pinterest and YouTube and other media, I have been looking at macaroon making, and I have found a few people, not very many, a few girls, ladies, who make macaroons in a simpler way, yes. And now I'm tempted. So I brought this book out to share with you because I will make macaroons soon. That's part of the plan. While I'm using all this fantastic, free, relaxing time that I have now that I'm semi-retired, that's another thing I'm going to do, bring back the good cooking experiences from the past that I could never culminate as such. Another book favorite of mine is this one, The Food Processor Cookbook. Now, believe it or not, I bought this about 40 years ago or even more when I was living in the United States, and I had the first food processor, which I found in my household. I remember we had a blender, we had the beater that you use in those days by hand. You had to just turn the lever. No electric beaters yet. There probably were, but not in my household. So the food processor is a fantastic piece of equipment to have in the kitchen. This little book is produced by Better Homes and Gardens, which is a very famous household magazine that produces all these things. And one of the things I like about this book is, for example, they have different ways to chop slice vegetables, grind, seeds or whatever, and they tell you step by step how to do that, which I found very useful because I am not an expert. Now, they also have things like how to make your pastry, for example, how to make your sauces, and which piece of equipment you need to in each case. So that was like studying really about the food processor. Once I got used to it, I am an addict of my food processor because it does everything in seconds. Like grating a carrot, for example. Well, yes, I used to have a hand grater to do it, but it's not the same. It takes time. You have to wash it, and everything goes all over the place. Here, I put this, the slicing blade on, and in 1 second, I can slice one carrot to perfection, which I love that. So it eliminates all the messy parts. But it has also, of course, recipes, how to make your own breads. So a lot of things that you can do with a food processor, which I love because it is time saving, and you can do a lot of things that otherwise you might not even want to do because you don't like to start chopping and cutting. And so the food processor I recommend, and it's a book that I use constantly, I have to say. Now another one is this one, and this couples with the one that I just showed you. This is put out by Australian Women's Weekly, which is a magazine very popular here for many, many, many years. And they had this brilliant idea to put out collections of cookbooks of many kinds. This is a microwave, there's another one. They have by country, Italian, Spanish, other culinary countries, recipes. And they have also biscuits, for example, or cakes, so they put out a collection. I used to buy them all. Some of them I have given away when I move from one place to another. I cannot keep them all with me. But the microwave I love because I never was fond, I should say, of using a microwave. I thought it was very artificial or something like that. But eventually I discovered that there are so many things that you can make quickly if you want to have something nice and tasty, but you don't have the time to spend in the kitchen preparing and doing all the things. The microwave is a blessing. And once I got used to it, there is a lot I do in the microwave. And here in this book, of course, we have many, many delicious things, soups that usually would take probably a couple of hours to make. With the microwave, you can make them in minutes. And like that, they have even meat recipes, fish. They have all sorts of things. And the good thing about the microwave cookbook is that it also gives you, at the beginning, little tips and things for those of you who are not familiar with the microwave. Well, nowadays, everybody's familiar with the microwave. I'm talking for myself because I'm a latecomer into cooking. Remember? Oh, okay, but this is interesting. For example, how you place, if you have 1 cup of something, you place it on the edge. Usually you place your bowls and little cups or whatever on the edges. My usual thing to do was to put it right in the center of the dish. And sometimes, of course, that doesn't work. Splatters all over. It may have to do with the distribution of the heat in the oven. I don't know. But these are little hints and tips that help you a lot. It also shows you, of course, equipment. That's another thing I had to learn. I thought that you could put anything in the microwave, and it's not the case. Some of the items that you have to put in the microwave should be made with materials proper for microwave cooking. Many of them need a lid, and at the very least, to cover with plastic. So all these little things I had to learn, and now I'm an expert microwave. I would do anything, and one of the things I love the most about the microwave is cooking eggs. You can make poached eggs, any type of egg, beautiful in the microwave. So we'll continue. Now from Australian Women's Weekly as well, there's a sample of one of them. There are many. Italian, because I love Italian food. And they have lovely recipes. Their recipes are usually really proven against anything. You cannot fail by making them. They are really well defined. Here I have one, for example, braised leeks in Parmesan. And there's my note there, delicious, or what does it say? Yeah, divine in Spanish. Because they turned out to be beautiful, and they're really very simple to make. So I love that. There are lots and lots of recipes here. You know, how to make risotto, which is very Italian, and pictures showing you step by step and explaining everything they do to achieve that beautiful recipe. So this is another book that I use quite a bit, or I used to use quite a bit. I'm going back to using it. Yeah, you'll hear all about it. Now, among the things that I like to cook, of course, there's no better thing for me to cook than sweets. Yes, I know. The sugars, the carbohydrates, and all these modern things that are happening, well, it's okay. You can do whatever you want, you can eat whatever you want, you can believe whatever you want, but nothing for me beats a beautifully prepared sweet, a cake, a pastry, a Danish, anything that you can imagine. So this is a book that I really love because of the way it is presented. And it's Mary Berry's Desserts. She has many others. Very popular here in Australia. She has delightful recipes. I like the fact that she also has videos and TV programs where she appears, you know, cooking and giving demonstrations. And she always cooks with the family in mind, and I love that. She's mentioning always her husband and the grandkids and cooking outside in the patio and making all these gorgeous things for the family. So obviously the recipes are very simple but very tasty, with a lot of ingredients that are a little bit exotic at times because we don't use them every day, you know, in the rush of cooking for the family during working years. But it is a lovely, lovely book, and it's really worth having something like this. You know, it has lots of ideas about decorating, and this is a lovely part. You see how to fill in your strawberries with cream, how to prepare your dishes with the little balls of chocolate, step by step, and she tells you everything you need to know to go slowly. And the good thing about this, many people have told me, oh, but that is time consuming. That's too elaborate. But now I have free time to do that, and it has become a pleasure to just say, well, let me taste it after I make it. Let me put to the test my ability to probably achieve this recipe from Mary Berry. And it is lovely to invest some of the time to spend an afternoon experimenting in cooking with ingredients that you probably don't use very often, with techniques that you haven't used before, and achieving new things and discovering new pleasures in cooking, and of course in eating what you cook. Now that's where the best part is for me. Yes. So she has many lovely things here. For example, peaches and pears. There's a lot of fruit recipes here, which I love. But she tells you how to carve them, how to cut them, how to sweeten them, and again, step by step. And it is lovely to follow, very lovely to follow, simple, and the ingredients are nothing out of this world as far as having to go to 2 hours from here to a particular shop to get something. No, you can find all of this very close by in your supermarket. It's the way things are used, the proportions, and the way you decorate your sweets, the way you mix them. And that is what makes the recipe special. Now, we have to admit that, yeah, there are some ingredients that you have to be a little bit careful about because you need to have good ingredients for some recipes. Now, this is a favorite. Now in Australia, everybody is crazy about tiramisu. It's usually, it is an Italian recipe. She makes a delicious one. So, things like that are worth going back into cooking again. I don't have the family I don't entertain like I used to years ago either. And you would think, well, why are you going to cook such things if you are not going to have dinner guests or the family at home or the children and grandchildren? Well, for the grandchildren, you don't cook things as exotic as that. They are very particular about what they like. It makes everything very easy for you to cook for children. But it is true. It is true that before, many, many years ago, I used to entertain quite a bit. And you spend a lot of time cooking, preparing, decorating. But it is a lot of work because there's the pressure of time. There's the pressure of people arriving, and the table has to be set beautiful as well. I used to decorate my tables for every dinner. I could not just serve dinner with a tablecloth and that's it, let's sit down and eat. No, everything had to be decorated. And there were the candles, the flowers. I used to enjoy that tremendously, and that's time consuming. But now, if I don't have the family or guests for dinner, well, I simply think, well, this is fantastic. I'll call some of my friends. I say, I have tried this recipe. I am going to come and see you, have a coffee, and bring you some of it. And I visit 2 or 3 of them, or I call them, or I invite my students sometimes and share what I have had. Some of it, if I make things that can be frozen, they might be frozen. But otherwise, it is, I have the opportunity to share them. Nothing goes to waste. And of course, I keep my little portions, safe and handy in the fridge because I love my sweets. Now, talking about sweets, yes, of course, there's a lot to talk about when sweets come. Everybody loves sweets, despite all the trends about health and nutrition. People still like their sweets, don't you? Because I do. Now, since we're going to continue torturing ourselves with sweets, what better sample to have than this? The good almighty chocolate. Now, nothing beats chocolate for me in sweets and fruits, I have to admit. This is a book that I bought. It came probably about 10 years ago only. It was put out by Philadelphia, the cream cheese makers, and it was in our supermarkets for a while for sale. And of course, I had to buy it. How can I, just walk by an aisle selling chocolate cookbooks and not buy one? No, impossible. So there are recipes here with white chocolate, dark chocolate, unsweetened chocolate, how to shave it and how to make your chocolate cups, muffins, and little things like that. This is a beauty. These are little muffin cups wrapped in beautiful paper. So little things like that, all chocolate, of course. So it doesn't matter what I make, what size, what shape. If it is chocolatey, Boy, there's always room for that in my table. And I have also these lovely books I bought at the newsagent, and they're from overseas. I don't think they're from here. I don't know. I would have to look at that. Hold on, to see if they're truly yes, they are. Yeah, distributed by Network Services in Sydney, all over the world. Singapore, North America, South Africa. So they have, their publications that go worldwide. But this is one of them. Chocolate Obsession. Ooh, yeah, now that's me. Yes. And look at just the picture at the front. Oh, isn't it scrumptious? And it doesn't matter how much people are, worried about nutrition nowadays. If you put a dessert like that on the table, I doubt there'll be somebody who will say no. Although I do have a student of mine, a beautiful lady, great to talk to, and she always brings me chocolates whenever there's an occasion. My birthday, the end of a course that we finished, and she brings some chocolates, and particularly from a specialty shop in north of the river in Perth, and they're delicious. But she doesn't like chocolate. She will not have one. She is not interested at all. It's not her thing. And I always said to her, you are probably one in a million. I don't know anybody who says no to chocolate. But she does. She doesn't like it. She doesn't eat it. But she gives it away to anybody who can. And that's lovely. I love that, because I love receiving chocolates, particularly chocolates that come from a specialty shop that I never visit, that I will probably never see. And some of those chocolates can be, expensive as well. And they're beautifully prepared, beautifully presented and decorated. It is just lovely. So we have here exotic crazy things, how to play with fruit and chocolate. Now I can guarantee you that I will not make that. That's just too much for me. I'm more for the traditional things, but in these magazines there are, of course, features about chocolate shops and markets in other places of the world. This is in Spain in particular. And delightful. And from that same collection we have chocolate cravings. Oh, look at that. Of course, they're very smart. They put the most fantastic looking desserts on the cover, and you just grab the magazine and take it home, and then you discover what's inside. Luckily, everything is worth it, inside and outside. Now, in this one, of course, we have recipes from people who are very, very keen on cooking with chocolate and experts. Professional chefs and places. I'll show you some. There's black and white brownie cake. Look at that. Isn't it lovely? That for a birthday celebration, to make that, and it's probably not complicated to make, but it's chocolate. We're just talking about chocolate. There's no room for anything else now. It is just perfect. So we have features from other parts of Australia. Look at the things they make. Some of the shops for display, and they sell their beautifully made chocolate things. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. And I love looking at some of the videos on TV, on YouTube, Pinterest. We have on local television, food channels, and it is very interesting to see people who are really, really at the top of the cooking scale, with the techniques and the ability to do fantastic things that are of course, at that level, quite complicated and a little bit difficult. But if you look at the result after they finish cooking whatever it is, you would think it's worth it. I would love to try some of that. So we have, I have a passion for chocolate. I think it's lovely because it's very versatile. It's like potatoes, you know, you can do with eggs, potatoes, for example, tomatoes, so many things. And it is the same ingredient, and you have, you know, the 5, 6 recipes maybe with tomatoes, with chocolate, with potatoes, and they're all different. Everybody will think it's a totally different dish, and the main ingredient is usually the same, but it's, again, the way we make them. So I'll be making a lot of chocolatey things. Now I have other books here. This is another very popular thing here in Australia, Mary Claire. She has lots of books, and the recipes are truly, you know, fantastic. They're easy to make, not complicated at all, and really scrumptious and different. And this one is called Fresh, so you can imagine she has books for just about anything under the rainbow. But the photographs in the book are very inviting, very special, very lovely. You know, she has and very well explained as well. And it is all using fresh ingredients, vegetables, fresh vegetables, incorporating them. You know, how to make your olive trays, your pastas with different veggies. So I love that. It is a book that is worth having, and I would recommend because you will never stop using it. You know, there will always be a recipe there for me. Oh, yes. And of course, we have here from the Gourmet magazine as well. I'm not very fond of magazines. I have to say to you that I don't buy magazines, but I do buy the cooking book collections that some of the magazines put out. And Gourmet is one of them. And, well, what can I tell you? It's another one that it is absolutely beautiful. Look at that cheesecake there. And they have made and published lots of recipes and videos and lessons and workshops to make everything under the rainbow absolutely gorgeous. And they have recipes in Gourmet Traveler. Of course, they have recipes from other places in the world. And that's another adventure, you know, to cook. Here in Australia, we're so close to Southeast Asia and South Asia that many shops, we have specialty supermarkets here, just for Chinese, Vietnamese, Malaysian, Korean cooking. Well, that's another story for another day, because their cooking is so different from the European cooking, from the Australian or American cooking, but they have delicious dishes. And we will talk more about that. I think I will attempt to cook a little bit in a video for you to share and see how we go. Now, last but no least. Have you guessed it? Christmas cooking. Now, that is something that I haven't stopped in years, you know, to make, you know, because Christmas is that time of the year, and for me, Christmas starts on the 1st of December, that used to be my father's birthday, until the 1st of January. And then it extends a little bit onto the 7th of January, because we're Catholics and we celebrate also the wise men. They, you know, the Magi, as they say sometimes. But it is a time where you put on the table dishes that you don't have on the other 11 months of the year. And that is fantastic, because it makes it feel like it is Christmas, and all the smells and all the tastes the foods that you put on the table, that you have with friends. You go to somebody's house, to relatives, and everybody's cooking their own thing, but it's all Christmas related. There are things that you will never find on any table during the rest of the year, and for me that is very important. I know people who celebrate here in Australia Christmas in July because of the weather, but I just cannot do it. For me, Christmas is December. So I use this book quite a bit. It has absolutely lovely things from many places. And on top of that, I cook also the typical dishes from my country, from Venezuela, which is something that I could not stop doing because it is Christmas with the family and the memories and the places and all the lovely ladies in my family who used to cook all these things. We used to get together and it would be an enormous table of ladies cooking and we children jumping around the table, looking and asking and putting our hands in anything we could. And one of the things that I like in this book is Christmas pudding. Christmas pudding is not a typical Christmas thing in the Venezuelan table. So when I came to live in New Zealand and Australia, discovering this Christmas pudding with the custard sauce, the rum sauce, hot, it was so beautiful. So yes, I like Christmas pudding, but only at Christmas time, and because I live here in Australia now, and it is a typical thing, which I love very much. And then there are all the little cookies and cakes, the typical. This is very American, of course, the gingerbread house. It is made all over the world now. I know many people here in Australia who make it step by step. It is elaborate, but it is lovely. Once you finish it, it's just beautiful. And if you put it on the table, children just love looking at that and thinking that pretty soon after dinner we'll probably break into it. And cookies and biscuits for your Christmas tree. Lovely things. There are lots of things to do for Christmas, and everything comes in white, red, and green, and I love it. I love it. I think it is such a wonderful thing, Christmas. And it's not only what you make and what you eat and what you serve on the table. It's the fact that it brings people together. It's the time for sharing, and food is something that you're always happy to give, happy to cook for other people and the family. You're always happy to share, to taste other people's recipes and dishes on the Christmas table. It brings a lot of joy and happy moments, that are very special because it is Christmas. And what we're doing, including the eating, of course, is all Christmas related. So yes, I get some recipes from there in December. Okay. And then I have another one put by the magazine Good Housekeeping. And it's also a Christmas book. Look at all the biscuits in the shapes of stars, red hearts, angels, reindeer. This is the magic of Christmas. You can be cooking and it's time consuming and maybe elaborate, but it's the fun of doing. When you decorate with, little things green and little stars in red, and then the reindeer shapes, and and children can participate and enjoy it as much. Of course, they will enjoy the eating. They will not forgive you if they have come to the kitchen to help grandma or mom to cook for Christmas and not to have a taste. So what I used to do is, making biscuits, for example, which I used to bake a lot of biscuits, always leave 2 or 3 aside. And then when everything was done and we were putting all our biscuits and cookies in the tins and the wrappings and the cellophane for presents and all this, and they would say, "Oh, Mom, are they all, gone? Are we giving them all away?" And I said, "Yes, but I have these ones for you. And they would love it. They would love it. So I would give them the little prize for all the help they gave me. Now I'm trying to see what recipes are here that are, not very many chocolatey things, although it's a Christmas collection from many other places as well. So there are recipes from other countries, and this is puff pastry, mixed pepper and goat cheese. Now this is lovely too because it carries, the filling carries red peppers. And when you cut it, of course, it does look like a Christmas log, savory. And it is a very simple, delicious, crunchy and light dish to have. And so many other things. Eventually, when I start cooking and testing my recipes again, I will attempt to make a video of myself here in the kitchen preparing something that you can share with me and see if you like it or not. And if you want to comment, I would love to hear what is your favorite cooking. Is it savory? Is it sweet? Is it from overseas, from a particular country? Is it from your country? Is the recipe from your grandmother's? You know, all recipes carry a lot of magic, really. And tell me, and if you would like me to talk about any books in particular, this is the second video. There's going to be one more. The third video will be about a different type of book, and I hope you like it. I think you will. Totally different from this one and the first one, and but very enjoyable for me. So I'm really concentrating on the things that I would like to bring back to life in my free time, now that I'm semi-retired, and to start all over again the joys of doing things that I loved a lot in my younger years, and I had to stop due to the circumstances. So now I have the blessing of being given the time to bring out all this and say, well, let's sit down and browse through all these books and see what we can make in this case. So I will see you in the next one, and enjoy yourselves. Happy cooking. Have a lovely meal. Grab your coffee, put your feet up, and have a nice piece of chocolate cake in the afternoon, like I do sometimes, not always, but sometimes. Have a good one. Bye.